Flox is a virtual environment manager. It helps you manage the entire galaxy of software upon which you do your important work. Because when you write your code, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just you're writing code on top of a mountain of tools and libraries and frameworks and configuration and all this stuff. And all this stuff has to be managed. And all the projects you work with on your system have their own obnoxious collection of stuff. And it's always different. And so there's all these tools, like tools that help you switch your version of Node, and tools that help you find the other version of Python that you want, and tools that help you match the versions of these things up with these projects. But all these tools are really fragmented today, and there's not a single solution that brings it all together, except Flox. Also, it's very difficult when you've got this collection of software to move it from your system over to your friend's system. You might try to pick it all up, or you might try to write that perfect README file that helps your friend build what you've built, but they'll end up flipping the gradient on that last square, and you might not even notice, just like most of you didn't notice that gradient is flipped on that last square. Little subtle differences can lead to big differences in outcomes. And that's why Flox exists, to help you build reproducible, consistent environments that span platforms, projects, and time. All right, enough of this. Let me show you how it works. The first thing that you want to know when you're creating a Flox environment is that Flox environments live inside directories. So let's make a directory for our Flox environment that we're making today. I'm going to make a chatbot today. Let's run Flox init. And the first thing that Flox init does is it tells you what to do next, because Flox is designed to be used by people. So let's do Flox search Ollama. I know I'm going to want some LLM pieces for my example today, and let's install Ollama by using a Flox install command. Very simple. We all are familiar with install commands. Now let's also install another one called Next.js Ollama LLM UI, which is also in these search results. So now I've installed my two packages. I can use Flox list to see these new packages, but if I try to run them, they won't run yet because this environment is not activated. Before I activate it, let's take a look at the manifest. This manifest was created interactively when I ran those two install commands, but I can edit it here and it will rematerialize the environment accordingly. This manifest is the definition of the Flox environment. And it's really well commented, so you can find everything you need to know pretty much in the comments. But this install section now has these two packages in it. There's a var section where I could define variables if I wanted. There's a hook and profile section where I can do a whole lot of automation on environment setup and tear down, but I'm not going to need to do any of that for my current example. And here it is. I've been looking for this services block. I wanted to find two services, one for Ollama to start the Ollama service, and one for the Ollama UI. So let's start with Ollama and tell Flox that the command to start Ollama is Ollama serve. And let's do Ollama-UI and tell Flox that the command for that is Next.js Ollama LLM UI. So now I have to find two services, and I have two packages. It's a really simple Flox environment, but let's see how powerful it can be. Let's activate and pass along -s, which tells it to start the services that I've defined. If I do Flox services logs, or status, I should see that they're both running. Let's look at the logs real quick. There we are. It seems to have come up properly. So let's open up this URL here and see what it does. All right. It looks like it's an LLM interface. What we've seen here is that with a simple Flox environment, we've installed two packages, defined two services. These services are working together, and I've built something that actually works here in just a couple of minutes. Let me show you one other really quick thing about Flox. And exit this environment. Let's make one for some database stuff. What I want to show here is Flox pull Postgres. This is pulling a pre-built environment from Flox Hub called Postgres down into my DB stuff directory that I can then activate, and it will initialize the environment and create the database and give me a working database with just one command.